Hi everybody, Ryan here, and welcome. I've got a very special web video blog, I guess, tonight. I haven't put one up in a while, but what I wanted to do is talk to you guys real quickly for the next handful of minutes, because today is November 1st, 2012, and in less than a handful of days, we will have our election day, and that's November 5th. It's coming up here this coming Monday, and so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you just a little bit, very unbiasedly and quite moderately. I'm just going to talk about one simple thing, and that's voting. I'm not going to take a big stance on left or right, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. I'm not going to take a stance on that. I'm going to take a stance as an American. I'm going to talk to you as Americans, because I think there are a lot of people who I've talked to, and I'm not really sure if they're not educated enough, or someone hasn't told them the value of voting. But I met a lot of people who say they're not going to vote, or registered and not going to vote, or not even registered. And, you know, to my own fault, I wasn't registered last 4 years ago when Obama first ran. And I wish I had been, and you know what, that's okay, it's in the past. But I made sure I got registered. I'm now a registered voter here in the state of Washington, and I will be voting here to this election. I'm excited to do that. This is a very pivotal point in our nation, and we have a lot of decisions to make on which way our country is going to go from here. But before I go any further, I want to talk about a few things real quickly, because I think I want to get across the importance of voting. You have a voice as an American. You have a voice that was given to you when we established this country over 236 years ago. That's not a long time. There's countries that have been around for a lot longer and have more established governments than we do. We're still learning. We're not perfect, although we do have a very big ego, and as Americans we like to believe that we're better than everyone else, but there's a lot of countries who are doing better in some areas than we are. There's a lot of countries who are doing worse in areas than we are, but measured up, we're kind of falling right down in the middle. And again, my view and my opinion is whatever it is to you. It could be good, it could be bad, it does not matter to me. I'm just telling you what I feel. And what I feel is that if you don't vote, you're giving away this opportunity. You're giving away your voice, your chance to, when the day comes later, after voting, you don't like how the country's run, you're able to complain. It's part of the rights we have, is to tell the country about our grievances. The First Amendment, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom to peacefully assemble and come to the government with a list of grievances, just like we do now. Taxes are too high, or reform is this, or we need to better our whatever. I think that right now, if you want to have a voice in that, I think you need to vote. If you're not a registered voter, I don't have the paper on me, I wish I did. I don't know when the cutoff date is. It might have already passed. I want to say it was October 26th, but don't quote me on that. If you are a registered voter, I would check tonight, see if you can vote. Still register to vote and vote on this election. And if you are a registered voter, please either send in your ballot by the mail, or go down to the polls come Monday and put your little self. I mean, this is you giving part of yourself to your country, saying, I made this decision, this is who I am. I want to read a couple of things for you real quickly, because I want you to understand the value of what it is you're doing, what it means to vote. I have here before me, I have these three documents here. There's the Declaration of Independence, there's this Constitution, and there's the Bill of Rights. And I think these are very important documents. Now, these aren't the real documents. These are small little replicas here. There we are. You can see them. Can you see them? Okay. All right. They're little replicas. And I bought them. I took a trip to Philadelphia. Actually, I went to New Jersey, but I got a chance to visit Philadelphia while I was there. And I got to see Independence Hall. And I got to see we're the Constitution, and we're the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, and all these great documents that not only talk about our history, but who we are. And so if you'll kind of play along with me here and take a backward seat and just listen to the words, take your emotion out of what's being said, I think you'll hear a lot of what it means to be an American and why you can be proud to have these rights that a lot of people don't do, that don't have. So again, humor me, and again, I'm taking this as a very moderate stance, a very center of the line, no left, no right. This is not, I'm not trying to discriminate against a certain race or a certain religion, or it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get people educated so that when it comes down to it, you can say, I did this, or I made sure that this didn't happen. I just want your voice to be heard, just like my voice is being heard now on the internet. Okay? So the first one I want to read from is the Declaration of Independence. Now, in 1776, these 56 dudes got in this room and they said, hey, listen, we don't like the way those guys across the sea are running our country. Let's make it so it's our country and not theirs. So I'm going to read just the preamble here. And if you don't like the word God, okay. It's just the way the country was founded. I don't think that we've held up to the expectations that these guys have laid down before us. I don't think the country and the way that we live is anything like the way they lived. 236 years, a lot has changed. So to expect the country to be like they thought it would be is kind of silly, but I still think there are principles in terms of the way we live and the way we conduct ourselves as not only just human beings, but as Americans and as a nation, as a collective group. And I want you to think about what I'm saying here, is because it's not about red states, it's not about blue states or Republicans or Democrats. We're Americans, the United States of Americans. We are one union. We are a group. We are collective. We are together, a union, or a bringing together of many things. We are this great force that could be even greater if we took the time to sit back, listen to what's happening, see what's going on, and make an informed decision that will better us, not just for tomorrow, but for the next 10, 15, 30, 100 years. We could make the future. So, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare these causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem not likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now, that's just that first paragraph. I don't know about you, but that says everything about who we are. That says why we should vote. That's why you have a voice to vote. You have the ability to say, hey, listen, whoa, stop. I don't like that. I don't like that. And you can have the ability to go before the people that you chose to represent you. That's why we have state legislatures. We have governors and mayors and representatives and Congress, and we have the Senate, and we have the president, and we have these people that we've put there because we voted for them, because we thought, listen, you can help Not just me, not just the guy now down the street. Help everyone. Let's make the entire country better. And although Alaska and Hawaii aren't connected right next door to us, they're still part of our country. It just takes a little longer to get there. That's bad humor. But understand that these words, they're eternal. They don't change over the course of time. Because in our hearts, in our souls, in your mind, in your emotions, and everything that you stand for or stand against, this is exactly who we are. One nation, together. Now, whether you believe it's under God or not, it's not the point. We are. We're not separate states or separate unities of people. We're not blue, we're not red. We are Americans. We are just people living on the same little country, the same nation, all for the same goal. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, I want to touch on one thing, because although you might not believe me, this phrase, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I'm sure you're saying, Ryan, how can you believe that to be true when in 1776 more than half of the men that signed the Declaration of Independence were slave owners? Listen to this. And this is true. These are true facts. More than half of those guys who were slave owners fought every day to abolish slavery. Now there's one man in particular I want to talk about real quick. His name is John Quincy Adams. And John Quincy Adams was once President of the United States. In fact, I believe he was the third President of the United States. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I almost want to look just to make sure. But I'm not sure. Anyway, I think he was, but I can't remember off the top of my head. He's either the third or the fourth. Thomas Jefferson was the third. John Quincy Adams was the fourth. Okay, so John Quincy Adams, the son of John Adams, who was the second President of the United States, spent the last 17 years of his life fighting, ultimately dying, trying to abolish slavery. The last 17 years. 17 years. Not just 1 year. Not just a term. Not just 2 terms. Not just 8 years. 17. That's a long time to fight for one cause. One. 17 years of his life he fought to abolish slavery. Although the while he had in his possession slaves. Because he knew it wasn't right. He knew what he had said on this piece of paper years before, that all men are created equal. Although it wasn't true then, he wanted it to be true. And for the last 17 years of his life, he fought for that. Now the great part of the story is that the last 3 years of his life, he mentored a young man. He taught him about the rules of life and laws that we are governed by. And he taught him everything he knows about why slavery was bad, why we shouldn't have slavery, why all men should be, and one day would be, created equal. Now I know we're a long way from getting to that, because we still fight with equality every day, whether it's gay rights or women's rights. Maybe it's not even black rights anymore. It could be whatever rights you want. But we want to make sure we preserve those rights for all Americans. And so for the last 3 years of his life, John Quincy Adams mentored a young man. Now, I don't know if it would surprise you or not, but that young man went on to be president. And he later abolished slavery. His name was Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if that means anything to you, because it means a lot to me. To have one man die, literally die, fighting for a cause, only to hand it off to the younger generation to keep the fight going. So when I ask you to go out and vote, I'm not asking you to pick Mitt Romney or Barack Obama. I'm not asking you to pick red or blue. I'm not asking you to pick Democrat or Republican. I'm asking you to make a difference, to change tomorrow, today. We can't take back yesterday, but we can make tomorrow better. And I think if we all get together, we can do that. I want to read something else here. This is from the Constitution. Now these words right here, these words In a handful of years later, in 1787, these words are what made our country what it is today. I believe these words are just as impactful as the Declaration of Independence, but this is why we are who we are. This is why we fought for so many years, for so many lives, to pursue this freedom, this liberty that we fight for every day now. And we have, and we will. We the people, not just hey you and me, or hey this guy and that other girl. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, in order, not we've already done it, in order to perfect our union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain that this and establish that this Constitution of the United States of America. I can read it again because I kind of butchered it halfway through there. But I want to read these key points here. In order to form a more perfect union, to make better what we've already made, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility. Hi. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, tranquility. Why should we always be at ends? Why should we always be fighting? Why can't we have peace? It's a myth almost to say there could be peace, but maybe one day. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. This is good stuff. Earlier I talked about Abraham Lincoln. I believe Abraham Lincoln was perhaps the best president. Now, the times were different, and we're in the middle of a civil war when he's in his presidency, and thousands upon thousands of lives fought for what they believed in. Whether you think one side was right or one side was wrong, it's not the point. They fought for what they believed in. They had their voice, and they fought with it. Just like you have a voice, and you can fight with it by going to the polls and voting. It doesn't matter who you vote for, just vote. Because in the end of the day, when you say, oh, I didn't like the choice that I made because I made that choice. I chose wrong, or I chose right. I'm glad I did that. You can say that because your voice was heard. Your vote counts. Trust me. I'll read for you parts of the Gettysburg Address. 87 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated the proposition that all men are created equal. He says it again. All men are created equal. Let me finish up here with the last bit of the Gettysburg Address here. And take into account these words. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they, who have fought here, have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. I hope some of those words strike a chord with you. I hope that you understand more about why it's important to vote. if not for yourself or for your family or for your kids, there's two groups of people I want you to vote for. I want you to vote for those who come after us. Long after we're dead, the decisions we make here will be echoed in the future. I want them to look back and say, look what they did. Look at the progress we've made. I want the people in the future to be happy with the America we chose today. And the reason we chose it is because we got out and we voted. The other group of people I want you to vote for are those who can't. For the last 236 years, men and women have given their lives on the front line of battle, whether it be with ourselves or with nations across the sea. I want you to understand that they don't have the ability to vote anymore. Honor them, like he says, Abraham Lincoln says right there. We have a duty, a devotion to these people who gave the last full measure of devotion. They died fighting for freedom. You have a right as a free American citizen here in the United States to vote. And every day, men and women lay their lives on the line to make sure that we have that freedom tomorrow. So their voice can't be heard anymore. But we can remember them by voting and making sure that their difference becomes our difference. I don't think I've ever really been one of a political stance. I've never been one to stand on the side of the left or the right and say, this is how it should be. I think the guys back in 1776 had a good idea. I think it's carried us a long way. How much further will it carry us if you stand by idly and do nothing? It wasn't perfect then. It's not perfect now. But somewhere between then and now, we've seen a country that's just full of life. Technology. Everything has changed. Everything will change. Continue to change. And if we want that change to be good, we have to make it that way. Because we, the people, are the ones who decide. We don't make the government because someone just said, let's make the government. We decided. We just stood together and we decided. Now, before I close, November 5th is a day that some would associate with a certain movie, V for Vendetta. There's a quote that goes in there, remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Now, although the film is very well made, and the character V is, I don't know what the word is, he kind of plays the villain, but with a lightheartedness to the side of, hey, listen, things should be better. And one of the things he says in that movie, and I think it's true, not to the sense that we should be blowing up buildings, because that's a bad idea. So no one go out and blow up buildings. I'm not going to. You shouldn't. Go vote. That's how you can, make things explode. Go vote. Go change the world. You'll see an explosion of change after that. But he says something. He says, people should not be afraid of their government. The government should be afraid of its people. We have the power. We elect those who sit in those seats in the Senate, the Congress, the House of Representatives, the President. That's who we elect. If we don't get elected, guess what? They don't get to sit there. They don't get to help make the world better. Our world better. Our America. So go out and vote, let your voice be heard, and please, if any of this offended you, part of me apologizes, because that wasn't my intention. The other part of me says, suck it up and deal with it. Because for me, it's true. This is the truth. This is as honest as it's going to get, folks. The country's in a tough place right now, and I could tell you right now it's not going to happen overnight. The change is not going to come in the next 4 years. We might see changes, but it's not going to get better until a few years down the road. Maybe 10. And I'm not an economist, I don't know for sure. But I know there's a lot of work to be done. And it starts right now. It starts November 5th. So I don't care who you vote for. That doesn't matter to me. Just get out there and let your voice be heard, because on November 6th, if you complain about the person that got voted into the president's office and you didn't vote, well, all of us who voted get to slap you in the face, because you don't have the right to argue what you didn't freely try and argue by voting. So, with that being said, I guess I'll just finish with thank you and good night.